Hi, and welcome to Something to Talk About. I'm Linda McNamee, and for the next hour, we're going to be talking about, as you saw in the introduction, affordable housing here in Burlington. No, it is not an oxymoron. We're going to find out how. But before I begin, I would like to invite you to give us a call this evening if you have a question for our guests, whom you will meet momentarily. You can give us a call at 781-270-9199. You can always email me at talk@bcattv.org if you have a question or a suggestion for a future topic. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, I would like to thank the crew for this evening who have given up a beautiful Wednesday evening to come hang out inside BCAT without any windows. First of all, we have Jolie Atwood and Stephanie Floridas, who have, as I mentioned, given up their Wednesday evenings. And we also have Chris Flaherty, who is a staff member here, making sure that us volunteers behave ourselves. And last but definitely not least, I would like to thank my husband Paul for staying home for Daddy Date Night. And in fact, today, finally, you can stay home. So hopefully everything's good with that. And now I would like to introduce you to my wonderful guests for this evening. We have Brenda Rappaport, who is a real estate agent and consultant, and Mike Runyan, who is a member of the Board of Selectmen. Mm-hmm. And you also seem to be involved in housing because before you were on the board, you had your own BCAT show on housing.
That's right. You remember I did. I've been involved with affordable housing in town since the start of the housing partnership program was first established some 20 years ago.
Okay.
And I also served 3 years with the Burlington Housing Authority.
Oh, okay. Did you just always just have an interest in real estate or housing issues or housing matters?
Not necessarily. Like I said, it's been well over 20 years. Mm-hmm. A topic that interests me, particularly since my real job, my full-time job, is with the fire department. So I'm in a lot of homes, hundreds of homes.
That's true.
Each year, thousands of homes during my career. Mm-hmm. And part of our fire department training is to sort of look beyond the patient and sort of understand maybe the environmental issues that might be causing some of the health issues that we initially called there for. So I see quite a bit, and it made me think that this environment,
fix this.
perhaps this person might do better in a different environment.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So Brenda, we'll go back to Mike in a minute, but can you tell me a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and how you decided to get involved in the real estate world?
Sure. So I'm a fourth generation resident, raising the fifth.
Wow.
I started my career in the valuation industry as an appraiser. After I graduated Suffolk University, I entered into the commercial and corporate real estate sector.
Oh, okay.
And in 2006, I obtained my real estate license. As a lover of all things real estate, I kind of shifted gears more towards the residential market as I raised my family. Okay. So my partner, who's also my mother, she's a certified appraiser.
Okay, was she doing real estate before, and that's what kind of interested you in that whole field?
She also owns an appraisal firm. Okay. So that's where I started off in the valuation industry.
Okay.
So she and I joined forces and created the home team. So we're realtors at Showcase of Homes. So she's a certified appraiser. I'm a certified negotiator. I also have a designation that specializes in representing sellers, as well as another designation that focuses on active and retired military personnel.
Oh, okay.
So I've been in real estate for a long time. A few years in many different facets, and continue to serve the community the best I can.
Excellent. Now, Mike, you also grew up here, correct?
Oh, I've been here almost my whole life. We moved here in 1962.
Well, you didn't have to tell us the year.
Well, I wanted to tell you that, and I know my parents paid less than $20,000 for the home that we grew up in, and it's worth considerably more than that today. I'm sure we'll be.
I'm sure it will be.
We'll be touching on that at some point. Mm-hmm.
So, what is considered affordable housing in Burlington? Because I look at, I look at the real estate pages, look at, listings, and I'm thinking, there's no way I could afford that.
Maybe it might be where Brenda should start and sort of give you a snapshot of the real estate market here in Burlington. And
So I think it really depends on, what you're looking for.
Okay.
Are you looking for...
Not living in my car,
Yeah. Well,
real basic stuff.
The condo market, you can buy a condo for anywhere in the low 300s for a condo like Lord Byron. Hallmark Gardens.
Where is Hallmark Gardens?
That's over
Terrace Hall Ave.
Terrace Hall, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I know where it
Yep.
is. Okay.
One of the
all right.
original condos to come here
Okay.
in Burlington.
It's like one of
Yeah.
those things that you drive by and you see the sign and you may or may not know what it is. So.
Yeah, those are in the 300s. Then you can move on to something like the Cambridge Street condos. Those are in the 500s.
Okay.
Then there's a detached Seven Springs. You can go up to
Okay.
700, low 8s for a condo
And
or a
those are
townhouse.
Okay.
In Burlington, and then you have to take into consideration condo fees. Condo fees for a place again like Hallmark Gardens are in 3s, and that's dependent on amenities,
Okay.
and they can go up as high as $550,
Wow.
depending on which complex you're in. And those are things that people want to take into consideration when they're buying a home, because they're not fixed costs. They are going to increase with taxes, with expenses. So it's definitely something
Now, is
that
there
you want to think about.
Any regulation in the condo fees?
No, unfortunately there isn't.
Okay.
And all it takes is one bad management company that wants to charge an arm and a leg, and you could be looking, what your original $200 or $300 condo fee can turn into a $500 condo fee fairly quickly.
Wow. Okay. So now backing up a little bit, you mentioned Seven Spring detached. Is that still considered a condo?
Mm-hmm. It could be a condex, condo.
Okay.
So you're still somebody else would still be taking care of it. It's a common area.
Okay.
There are restrictions on things that you can and can't do. Maybe it could be something like, the colors that you can paint the door.
Okay.
Certain
The style of mailbox, or whether or not you
Exactly.
could put a fence around your house.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
But somebody else would be taking care of the exterior maintenance, and that would be one less.
Seven
one less
Springs
thing you have
kind of
to do.
unique because there's actually two components to that. There's a for sale condominium
Mm-hmm.
component, and then there's apartment
'Cause I thought it
rental
was apartment
component.
rental, or
Right.
rentals. Okay.
So that's
so
kind of
the-
unique to Burlington. I'm not aware of
Okay.
any other development that's like that.
Oh, okay.
Well, Arborwood, I suppose Arboretum and
Okay.
Arborwood was
But I think
similar.
they're considered separate. They're
Right.
separate entities.
Oh, okay. So affordable. How do we define the term affordable? Is that
Well,
like
the funny, we don't define the term affordable.
Okay.
Department of Housing and Community Development
Is that at the
define the terms
state
income
level?
limits, yes.
Okay.
So we have to adhere to their guidelines in order for the units that we deem affordable, that we advertise as affordable. If they don't meet the criteria of DHCD, then we cannot count them
Okay.
towards our affordable inventory numbers that
Okay.
help keep us at that particular threshold of
And
40B development.
How is that threshold determined?
Again, by the state. The state has determined decades ago
Okay.
that each community should be at a 10% threshold of affordable units.
Okay.
Most communities, almost all communities, struggle with that 10%.
Okay.
Burlington's in a very good position there. We're at that 10. In fact, we exceed
Okay.
10%. So we're head and shoulders above our neighbors
Okay.
in terms of
And
meeting
when-
that criteria.
Okay. And when you say units, it could be a condo. It theoretically could be a house.
Yes, we have some single-family homes that
Okay.
are considered affordable.
Okay. And how is it determined which units, whether it's a house or condo, should be deemed or designated an affordable unit? Like, how do you determine that this house on this street is going to be part of the 10%? Is it when it goes up for sale, and then
Well, they come to our attention in various ways. We were able, the United States Army had some surplus housing on South Bedford, for example, some 20 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
Offered it to the town, and we took advantage of that. And so that whole cluster of homes, I don't know how many is there, maybe 16 or 20,
Yeah. Wow.
perhaps.
Okay.
So they're all included in our single-family home, family housing
Okay.
inventory. Other developments are from proposals from local developers.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so when they wanted to do, which sort of precipitated my asking to come on
Okay.
your program here, we've got one under construction currently.
Cool.
Yeah, we do.
You want to talk about that one right now?
Let me talk about that
Let's
one
talk
because
about
that's the
that
one
one.
where there's ample opportunity right now.
Okay.
This one is called the Reserve at Burlington,
Okay.
and it's located on Corporate Drive. Now, people always, Corporate Drive, where the heck is that? I always tell them it's behind the Landana restaurant
I
there.
was about
So
to
you
say,
can
is
see
that
it
the
from
one
Cambridge
behind
Street,
Landana
but
that's being
not everyone
built?
knows the name of the road there. It's
Okay.
Corporate Drive.
Well,
so
I
there's
always
some-
thought that Corporate Drive was just like an office park.
No, there's actually, there's a condominium development in there as well. It was part of the original permitting application.
Okay.
The name escapes me, Brenda, right now. Maple Ridge
Okay.
Ridge
Yeah.
condos in there.
I've seen that sign. Okay.
So this is a mixed-use, commercial, residential development. And
Cool.
so they currently have 270 units under construction.
Under construction. Okay.
Under construction and ready for the fall. And the town negotiated 68 units of that to be affordable.
Okay. Now, before we get too much into it, I think you had sent us a photo, or Chris had taken some photos. Chris, can you show us like a photo of the outside of the building? Maybe some of the construction ones, or anything in general?
Well, while he's looking,
Okay.
while he's
While
looking
he's
for
looking
that,
for the photos.
while he's looking for that, we're a little bit late. We didn't get to you quite soon enough. We
Okay.
did advertise. We had there's a lottery coming up for these affordable
Okay.
units. The application deadline has just passed, but
But,
there's still going to be ample opportunity for folks, given the number of units that are available. So I'm not certain that they've got 68 applicants
okay.
for
get your
that. But
how would somebody find out about the application process? Is it on?
well, we have the applications are available at Town Hall. They're also available at the town library.
Okay.
I don't know if Chris has some.
Oh, there it is.
There's some
Ooh, it's pretty.
pictures of it right now.
So is that one giant building that's like U-shaped, or is it a couple of
It is.
buildings? Oh,
Yep,
okay.
It's gone up in a couple of different phases. Portion of the property is just about complete, and they tell us that they're going to be wrapping it up in the fall, ready for occupancy
Excellent.
in the fall. That's why they're marketing these units right now.
Okay. Cool. Those look really nice.
They're very nice. Brenda might know a little bit more about the amenities they have to offer there, but.
I don't,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Well,
Well, it did
they're similar
mention-
to the amenities that are being offered at the Huntington and Tremont and stuff like that. There's underground.
Yeah, because
there's
I saw
underground
this.
parking,
Yeah.
swimming pools, rec areas.
Now, what was the website you had sent me?
SEB.com.
Is it S-E-B?
Yes, they're the folks. They're the marketing firm that are running the
Oh,
lottery,
okay.
and they have all the lottery information.
Okay.
But
Because
I think
looking on that website, I'm like looking at some of the common areas, like the workout room, like the exercise room looked really nice. The pool looked nice. Everything. I'm like, wow, that's
it's a
pretty
beautiful building.
awesome.
the apartment living today is much
Not
different
what it
than
used to
than
be.
what you
Right.
might imagine. There's most of them are pet friendly.
Okay.
Again, parking is indoor parking.
Covered.
There are recreation areas inside and out.
Wow.
Again, modern
It's like living in a
facilities.
hotel.
Yeah.
It really is. They're really quite nice. And
Excellent.
again, I'm thinking that this could be an opportunity for a certain segment of our population
Okay.
who are considering downsizing and who may be on fixed incomes.
Okay. Let's
Yet-
talk more about the application process, and then we'll figure out like more
Okay.
of the target audience, whether it's people trying to downsize or people trying to get into Burlington, you know, kids with or families with young children, because the school system is amazing, the rec department's amazing, everything about Burlington is really cool. Who wouldn't want to live here?
Exactly
You know,
right.
So, yes, the deadline has passed, but there still might possibly be additional spaces. So if somebody is interested,
Yes, absolutely.
They would
There's- you
go
can still fill out
onto-
an application. I would encourage you to visit the website.
Okay.
Take a look. There are pretty good renderings of what these units are going to look like.
okay,
There are other units in town that also offer an affordable component to them.
okay,
Again, the Huntington, the Tremont, Kimball Towers,
Yes.
okay.
even the Seven Springs that we talked about a little bit earlier. There's an affordable component to all of these, and I
So-
just want to make people aware that we have these options out there if they
Okay,
know
so
where to look.
once something is deemed an affordable housing unit, does it stay? So like if somebody were to get an apartment at the Reserve and then in 5 years move out, would that unit still be considered an affordable housing unit?
It will be. They have to maintain
They have to maintain the 10%?
perpetuity, whatever that. Some are 10%, some are 25%,
Okay.
depending on how they were
Okay.
permitted.
So it's not just a one-shot deal. There's like a
No.
rotating basis where if somebody moves from one of these places,
No,
It doesn't
some of the development. They would like to,
oh, okay.
get them all market rate, but there's
Okay.
been law. The Wellesley decision is commonly referred to
okay.
as long as they're non-compliant in terms of our local zoning, then they have to
Okay.
remain. That affordable component has to stay with the property.
So if somebody were to apply here and not receive, not win the lottery,
Yeah.
there is still hope. They don't have to wait for another new development.
Oh, not at all. All of the developments that I mentioned maintain a waiting list.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And I think it's important to differentiate that this isn't considered Section 8. Section 8 is a voucher that can be
Okay.
applied to any home. This is a separate program.
Okay. So if someone, how do you get on a waiting list?
You
I really wanna live at the
visit
Tremont. Okay.
all of these developments have rental offices on
Okay.
site. You can I think most, if not all, will accept applications online. If you're
Oh, okay.
any good at a computer, you can actually fill out an application online. But I would think most folks would probably want to visit,
Yeah.
maybe look at a model unit, see, maybe that's not for me.
Now, does the Reserve have a model unit that's complete, or is it just like artist's rendition of? Do you know?
I couldn't tell you that for sure.
I don't believe they don't have one at this time. I'm sure they will
Because looking
as
at
they
the
get
pictures, they
closer.
still kind of looked pretty much under construction.
Right.
Okay. So this is really cool that, they're designated X number, and you may have already answered this, but I'm a little thick. So I'm noticing in Burlington a lot of new houses are going up, and they're huge, and like one house goes down and 3 houses go up. And they're pretty big houses, and I cannot imagine any developer willing to have one of these properties considered affordable. So how do these other locations, and how does Burlington maintain that 10% with the really big houses and the high-end houses, the $1.3 million houses going up? How do we maintain that 10%?
Well, that's challenging for us to get our hands on a single-family style home
Okay.
for young families with children. The opportunities are few and far between. We have
Okay.
been able to pick up a few here and there through this permitting process.
Okay.
Instead of getting an affordable unit on that site, for example,
Okay.
we had an agreement with one developer where they went out to the community and they purchased 3 single-family homes in different neighborhoods
Oh,
in
okay.
Burlington,
Okay.
and then gave them to us, and we resold them to first-time home buyers.
Okay. Who's we?
The Board of
Sorry, I just
Selectmen.
want to make sure. So it is the Board of Selectmen. They sell them to the town?
It's through the Board of Selectmen. We have
Okay.
a housing guy, Jim Doherty, is in charge of the affordable housing stock that the
Okay.
town manages
Okay.
and operates. The housing authority is separate from what we do.
Okay.
And so, whenever we have an opportunity, we seize on it and try to make it available. We would love more single-family family housing, but just not too many opportunities for us.
Understood.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that these McMansions that are being built, some people think that if it's a slab or if it's a small ranch that it's on an automatic tear down. There are options out there. I think it's important to obtain a realtor or somebody who can give you a true value of your home to let you know what your options are out there. So whether it be selling to a first-time home buyer, who can't afford that McMansion and isn't eligible for an affordable housing program, but just wants to get into the school system, wants to get into Burlington as a whole, they might be, there's a buyer out there for everyone. Mm-hmm. But it's a matter of marketing the property properly. And getting somebody who really knows what they're talking about.
Okay.
Not everything's a tear down.
Which is good because I'm like, oh.
And there are plenty of buyers.
Yes.
Young buyers, blue collar buyers who would
Yep.
love to come into Burlington given the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
yeah, not everything has to be torn down.
But they don't need a 3,400 square foot,
Right.
a 1,500 square foot home would be.
Right. But this program, would help those people who, who are on the fixed income, who can't take care of the exterior maintenance,
Okay.
who, before their house becomes to a point where
Where it is a tear down.
it is a tear
Or
down.
it's a fall down.
Right. I think that the idea of owning a home, downsizing and buying another home, the American dream is always to buy the home. You
Right.
always have to own your home. That might not be the most economical solution for you to stay in Burlington anymore. If you can qualify for something like this, you sell your home, you bank your money, and then you live in an easier environment where you're not having to deal with the exterior maintenance and the burdens that come with home ownership. And you take the proceeds from your home and enjoy life a little bit easier.
Don't have to mow the lawn anymore.
Exactly.
Now, I'm not sure if we answered this or not, but we talked about earlier condos having the condo fees plus the actual mortgage itself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in these, you told me this before the show. In these affordable housing units that are going up at the reserve, those are not condos, so people aren't outright buying it, so they don't have to worry about those condo fees.
Correct.
So it's
they're a rental.
it's a fixed rental. Now, could the rents go up a certain percentage each year?
They can be adjusted.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, within the guidelines of DHCD.
Okay. Now, does DHCD come back and, does the state come back and monitor and check, periodically to make sure that we're...
The state is the monitoring agent
Okay.
on some developments. The town is the monitoring agent on other
Okay.
developments. It's all dependent how the applicant, which direction they choose to go in. So folks taking advantage of the rental programs on an annual basis do submit an income, their income statement.
Okay.
As long as their income hasn't dramatically increased from last year, they stay where they are. No, they would be responsible for heat, hot water,
your
cable
basic
TV,
utilities.
your basic
Well,
utilities.
cable TV right now is almost a mortgage.
Sure is.
Yes, in some cases.
Your Netflix account, how's that?
Yeah.
We don't do Netflix yet. Tempted, yeah. Anyway, that's a whole other episode. So can we talk more about? So how would someone know if they qualified for this, and what would be the steps, like you had talked about, if someone is on a fixed income or they want to downsize? I mean, what is the whole process?
Okay. Again, those guidelines are also established by DHCD.
Okay, so
And let me just refer to my notes for.
absolutely.
So keep in mind, there are income limits, but there are no asset limits. So you can sell your home.
Okay.
You can
Ooh.
take that mountain of equity that you've earned over the last
Okay.
30 or 40 years. You can put it under your mattress. You can put it in the bank. You could buy yourself a new car. You could gift it to some of your children. You could take your grandchildren to Disney World. All those
Okay.
things that you wanted to
Disney World.
do for a long time, but haven't been able to because you've sort of been struggling with your month-to-month
Right.
bills, your property taxes, and
Your
everything
house
else
poor.
that goes along with owning a home. So I think this is a great opportunity for certain folks in that position. But I think the numbers are kind of generous. If you're maximum household limits for one person is $56,800 annually. So, you know, if you're just receiving Social Security, I'm sure there are plenty of folks in Burlington who are not earning over $60,000 in Social Security benefits. And then the numbers go up from there. A two-person household is $65,000, and three people, up and up and up it goes. But I think it's fairly generous, particularly given you're not penalized for owning $400,000 or $500,000 in real estate. You could use that money however you wish, which is, I think, is a wonderful opportunity for some folks. You know, unless you parlay that into the stock market, and now you've earned $1 million income annually.
Then that's your income. So
that's your income.
So you can't buy a house and use it as a rental property and then do this because that's part of your income.
Right.
So.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So those are the income limits for this program, and they're similar for the other developments that I mentioned. So
now, are all the requirements for are those income limits the same across the board throughout?
They are.
All
It doesn't
of
matter
Burlington?
if you're 25 years old or 75 years old. Those are the income limits. This is for everybody.
And it's for the reserve as well as Seven Springs.
They're similar.
As well as
They would be similar.
Okay.
On all the developments that we talked about today.
Okay.
Outside the housing authority, that's different. That's a whole different income and asset limitations there.
So housing authority, as in HUD,
No,
or
excuse
the
me,
housing authority here.
The 108 units that the housing authority manages,
Oh,
their program's a little bit different. Their rents
Okay.
are based on a percentage of your income.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if you have no income, you don't pay any rent. Okay, so it's.
I think you have other problems as well as not having any income.
right,
You're not paying rent, but you're not buying food.
Yeah, but the rents there are based on your annual income. I believe it's 30 or 32% of your.
Okay, so your next door neighbor might be paying different rent, even though you have mirrored
Correct.
properties.
That's right,
Okay.
yeah.
But
These programs, the rents are the rents.
Okay, so housing
they're
authority
established.
has the percentage units, and the Board of Selectmen works with the state government to make sure we maintain a minimum of 10% affordable housing in town.
Well,
Am I getting this right?
Well, the Board of Selectmen, the Planning Board, Town Meeting,
Planning Board. Okay.
we kind of have worked really well together on affordable housing here in Burlington, because it kind of takes all of us to be in agreement. So we've, sort of unified in our focus on maintaining and exceeding those affordable housing limits. I think Burlington's a very unique community. We're a very diverse community. There's no question about it. Just visit any one of our schools, you can see that. And so we've got folks of all income limits. We've got folks of all shapes, sizes, and religions. And I think that's healthy for the community.
Absolutely.
So, we're certainly not. I don't want to pick on Lexington or some of these other communities, but that's not us. We have our own little brand, and I for one like it, and having opportunities for all of our residents has been important to the town, and it's been pretty evident given the cooperation we've had with, again, Planning Board, town meeting and Board of Selectmen.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think this is a great opportunity. I'm a town meeting member, so this is, again, it's been a joint effort for all of us to get something, a different opportunity on board. So hopefully, we'll continue to grow these efforts.
So I'm just kind of looking at my notes a little bit.
Sure.
With the lottery, so there are 68 units?
68 units at the reserve
At
there
the
on
reserve.
corporate, yeah.
So if there are 100 people
Yeah.
that apply, is it a strict lottery, like pull your name out of a hat? Or
That's
is there
exactly
like,
what they do.
Yes.
It's like
Okay.
a bingo ball thing. Is they pull your numbers, and if you happen to be that person, then you have the
B4.
opportunity to
Okay.
move
Well,
your
I wasn't
application
sure
forward.
if there were like priorities, like different subsets, like if you were a veteran or if you were.
There are indeed, in this first round of the lottery,
Okay.
Burlington residents have preference in this
Okay.
unit, just for the first round only, and that's why I've been working hard to try and get the word out to the people of Burlington that
Okay.
in this first round we have a little upper hand, but we can't not discriminate. In the future,
Okay.
it has to be open to anyone
Anyone.
in the state that is income eligible is
okay.
eligible to apply, and we cannot unreasonably deny them
Right.
that opportunity.
Although if you're not currently here, well, yeah, you would want to come here because it's a great place to live.
It is a great place to live. It really is.
But you might not hear about it the first time around.
Okay.
For Burlington, anyone that didn't hear it before the deadline, this is a great opportunity for that second round of Burlington residents, to get the word out there and say, okay, we haven't had that 68 number.
Okay.
Let's get the ball rolling.
Keep going. Okay. Now, how often have lotteries come up like this? Anytime there's a new development, or
Well, we've been on a bit of a roll here in
Yeah.
Burlington.
well, yeah, everything's like popping
Okay,
up.
well, just given we've all seen the growth in our commercial sector, and there's been a keen interest in providing housing for the people that work in those areas. The interesting thing is, I think people thought the sky was going to be falling when some of these developments came on. They thought that our enrollment numbers in our schools were going to skyrocket, and
Right.
it just has not been the case. We really had minimal impact on our enrollment numbers. These are typically millennials who tend to migrate a little bit from job to job and community to community. They're not necessarily ready to settle down.
Sure.
As Brenda will
The
probably
rent-
tell you, it's more convenient for them to rent because instead of buy, because they're going to be moving on to
Okay.
And the rental market supports that.
yeah.
The rental market in Burlington, for a 2-bedroom for someplace like Lord Byron, you're in $1,700, $1,900 a month. Then you can go to someplace like the Tremont, which is, $2,500 to $4,000. And even Avalon has I think it's 1,100 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit for around $7,000 a month. So you're all over the map, but you're looking at high numbers, and realistically, in some other communities, that's a mortgage. It's a mortgage
Well,
in Burlington as well.
7,000 is a
$7,000 is a mortgage here too, but the 1,900, 1,700.
I wouldn't want to know where
you wouldn't-
$7,000 a month isn't
I don't know
a
exactly.
mortgage. I don't want to.
I don't know what else comes with that, but that must be a pretty special
It
unit.
is probably
be
top
great.
floor penthouse,
Yeah.
3-bedroom.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, there's
So-
some really very high end. Some of these developments have some really, really spectacular units in
Yeah.
addition to their
Okay.
Right.
one of the average.
Sure. It depends on, what kind of complex do you want to live in? Are you okay with something that might be a little bit older? Do you want to be in the more premier location of Burlington and the Second Ave, Third Ave?
Well, Third Ave now even has like a shuttle service to Alewife.
Yep.
That's included.
Yeah. And again, it's the amenities. So what are you looking for in your next home? So there's a lot of opportunity for millennials. There's a lot of opportunity for people who are downsizing. First-time home buyers. There still is a market. You just have to know where you're looking.
And how would somebody find the right realtor? Who knows? Who?
Well, I know a great realtor.
Yeah, I know two. Hopefully, you know at least two.
Yeah, of course, yes. I know two great realtors.
Mom.
Yeah. I think you have to interview people. You have to feel comfortable with who you're working with. You have to know exactly what kind of experience. I wouldn't just go through word of mouth. Interview people because you're going to have a different personality. You might have a different personality fit with somebody else. And you want to know that you're working with that person. You're not going to get pawned off to that person's assistant or their team. You need to know who you're working with and what expectations to set. That they're not just going to push you into working with a developer or, at the end of the day, I always tell my clients that you're in the driver's seat. I can put your house on the market, and if you don't like the price that I get, no harm, no foul. There's no expense to you. You're not obligated to sell to a developer. You're not obligated to accept a certain price. You decide and you dictate how things are going to go. I will give you my recommendations. But, in this market, a properly priced home will go under agreement. We'll get an offer within a week.
Wow.
Right now we're looking at 41 days to offer. So some homes, the higher priced homes tend to take a little bit longer.
Okay.
But I don't want to use the word affordable, but the more, the lower priced homes, the 400s, the 500s, those tend to go a little bit quicker because that's what's going to draw in, the younger buyer.
Okay.
And then, from offer to close, you're looking at around 60 days.
Okay.
But, we're in a very great market, low inventory, very high demand. And if you're going to sell, the summer months are a great time to sell.
Because it's the transition time, like if you have kids in school.
Exactly.
Or
You want to get your kids enrolled.
Okay.
And, let's be honest, with some of the winters that we have, who the heck wants to move in the middle of a snowstorm?
It's true. Although I moved to Florida in the middle of a hurricane.
Yeah.
Seriously.
How'd that work out for you? It wasn't fun.
Couch got a little soggy, but hey. So, when working with a realtor, the realtor would be able to tell the potential buyer if they want to go the rental route, if they want to go the condo route, if, knowing their lifestyle.
Well, I think one, you have to look at what your assets are.
Okay.
What, are you working with a financial planner? What is your planner telling you? I think, everybody's financial background's different. What their expectations are. Did you promise your daughter or son you were going to give them X, Y, Z? These, everyone's situation's different.
Okay.
So I wouldn't necessarily, your realtor really shouldn't be telling you what, how to spend your money.
Okay.
But they can give you your options at, this is what's going to, if you go to some place like a Lord Barron versus a Hallmark Gardens versus, kind of what to expect for, for your finances going forward. And, you should look at what the condo fees were and have escalated to over the past 5 years.
Okay.
You should be looking,
They probably don't go down.
no, not typically. Maybe $5, $10.
Yeah.
Nothing of substance.
Nothing noticeable.
Exactly. But you want to take a look at your budget. You want to take a look at what these, what your condo fees are covering.
Okay.
There's a lot of variables. It's not just, I like that bathroom, I like that kitchen, that's the house that I want.
Okay.
If you're, when you're buying a home, you should be looking at the big picture.
Okay. Because I'm thinking, when we talked about rental versus owning, some of the rents were just as much as the mortgages. So how do you determine which one? So a realtor might be able to help guide you through the checklist.
Exactly.
Okay.
What's important to you.
Okay. Now, with the affordable housing program that we're talking about specifically at the Reserve, or let's say any affordable housing program,
Right.
there's an income limit. So
Right.
I get a job and let's say I'm a single person. The single was 56.
Correct.
Let's say I'm making 55.9. So I qualify.
Right.
After a year, I either change jobs or get a raise or something, and now I'm at 57.
Right.
What happens?
Well, when you're talking about affordable housing, I don't. It doesn't matter what program you're on. It could be Section A, it could be one of these 40Bs. When they first created affordable housing, and a lot of these social programs, they're really meant to be temporary.
Okay.
They're intended to allow you an opportunity to get on your feet and better yourself, and so that's hopefully that's everyone's goal. So I mean, for the younger folks we're talking about now, as opposed to those empty nesters who are on fixed incomes already, but to the younger folks who might be listening, yeah, here's an opportunity. You can get in at a reasonable price, give you an opportunity to perhaps put some money away, and as your income grows, you will eventually be leaving that program and making that available to someone behind you.
Okay.
That's the goal. Doesn't
So
always
you're not
happen.
kicked out. It
Doesn't always happen that way. I mean, some of the housing.
You got a raise. Bye.
Some of the other programs. I mean, some people
Okay.
grow up in public housing and they stay in public housing. It becomes generational, and that's not the intent of these programs. They're supposed to be, again, temporary
Okay.
until you establish yourself, and
And
it's
help
an opportunity.
establish.
Yes.
Right.
You know, okay.
Right.
Because if you're living paycheck to paycheck in a bigger house, either a bigger house or this affordable program allows you to, not live paycheck to paycheck and put a little away, so you
It should. It should. These numbers.
lift yourself up.
These
and-
numbers are designed to. I'm sure that when they put these numbers together, they say they understand what it costs for food and everything, and they take all those things into consideration. So that's where the income and the rents, and it should afford you an opportunity to be able to maybe sock a little something away,
Okay.
and so you're not going to put you in a
So they're not
in a
going to
unit
kick you out
that's
if
gonna-
you're,
gonna strap you.
$56 or 56,027 cents. Oh,
Right.
sorry, you're over the threshold. Bye.
No.
But they
That would
still
not be nice.
But they still expect you to earn, be able to pay the rent every month.
Right.
I mean, if if your paycheck didn't cover it that month and you don't
Right.
pay your rent, you're out of the program. I mean, it's just the way it is. You don't.
But I'm thinking of
You
the
don't get a
people
free
who
pass if
get
you-
in because they qualify, and then they're above that, that threshold. What is there like somebody there to poke them with a stick and say, okay,
Yeah.
give somebody else the opportunity?
Right.
Or-
Yeah, they'll tell you. That's why the monitoring agent will do
Okay.
that. They'll say, okay, they'll know this. So
Yeah,
when you
why-
submit your financials at the
Oh, so you
start of
have to
each year, you do that annually.
Oh, okay.
So
See, I didn't know that.
So a sharp monitoring agent will notice, geez, your income's
Yeah,
coming up. You better start planning on looking for something else because you're going to be over income shortly, and
Okay.
you're going to have to move
Got
somewhere
it.
else.
So there is that monitoring. Okay.
Yeah.
When you had mentioned monitoring before, I was thinking it was like at the town level, making sure that they maintain that minimum of 10% and making sure the developers.
Oh no.
So
when
it's,
I say monitoring,
it's
that's making sure that
the residents.
that each resident is maintains those.
Or that they still
income
have
limit.
3 people in the household as
Right.
opposed to.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do they monitor how many people live there?
Well, because if you have when you first apply and you're only a
Okay.
2-person income, if you have a child that year, now you're a 3-family
Okay.
household, so you've got that much more wiggle room in terms of you're not going to be over incomed. Now you've
Well,
got
true,
that
but I'm
little
thinking
extra.
like the opposite, where you move in as a family of 4, but you're already moving in with 2 high schoolers, and then they turn 18 and they move out. So now
Right.
you're down to 2.
Their
But
they'll-
you're
taxes.
still.
I would think their taxes, right?
They'd probably
Okay.
move you to a smaller unit, or
Okay.
if
So
you're-
there's
if
still
you're
a
over-income.
monitoring for
Someone's watching.
both ways. Okay.
Someone's watching.
Big
There's-
brother, well, maybe not big brother, but somebody's watching.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So,
Let me tell you, you know what I want? Here's where we haven't really talked about, and this is where I lose most people
okay.
when I talk to them.
Should I take
I
notes?
tell them all about the amenities and
Okay.
all the reasons for, take advantage of the equity and everything else like that. Now keep in mind the people I talk to are the seniors in town, the folks who are looking to downsize, folks who have been here for 40 or 50 years and who purchased their home for $20,000 or less.
Oh, don't tell me that.
But then I tell them, okay, well,
Okay.
and they said, well, how much is the rent? I said, well, the rent's going to be, it runs anywhere from $1,200 to $1,700 a month. That's where I lose them. They fall out of their seat when I tell them that.
Yeah.
And they say, oh,
That would be my
God,
dad.
I can't afford that. But that's where I lose almost everybody. But then,
But I'm not
Well,
paying
they
that
need to-
much to stay in my house.
well, they are, Linda. If you think about it, if you really sit down and you ask yourself, look, I'm paying at least $400 or $500 a month for property taxes, homeowners insurance. I'm heating and cooling this entire space. The oil man told me that, you know what, I have no more duct tape to put on that HVAC unit.
Yeah, bubble gum
Plan on
isn't working
spending
anymore.
another $8,000 or $10,000 to replace that. Your roof is leaking. The lawn needs to be cut. The driveway needs to be plowed. So if you add up all of your expenses over the course of a year, it's going to be pretty close to this. It's going to be pretty close
And
to
the
this
stress
number.
level of having to find the right roofer and
Right. And,
you know, the
and
right snowplow guy that actually comes when
right.
they're asked to.
And it goes back to that same thing as, as some people get older, they're unable to take care of those maintenance, those high ticket items, the roof and the mechanics. And if they can't, then that's when we start getting to the point where, well, now your house is a tear down
Yeah.
because it's
Right.
deteriorated too much. Now we have a new McMansion in town.
Right.
As opposed to,
Ooh,
they
I like
could,
that.
what, the McMansion?
Yeah, well, no, it's just, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want somebody to buy my house and knock it down because it's a perfectly good house.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, if you don't take care of it, then it won't be a perfectly good house, and then it will be torn down.
People ask
I'm
what.
sentimental. I don't want my house getting torn down.
There are sellers like that. Brenda will tell you, and you can elaborate on that. But
There are sellers that absolutely do not want to sell. And again, you're in the driver's seat. You need to, if you upkeep your house, and even if there are some things that need to be upgraded, a
Right.
roof, mechanical, you need a new kitchen, you need a new bath. There are still buyers out there. There are people that, just like I said, they just want to get into Burlington, and it's your house is habitable, and they just do one project at a time, because that's what they can afford to do.
And sometimes it's just cosmetic work. That,
Exactly.
the carpet is still from 1960.
Or you have foil wallpaper. Those are
Oh,
easy.
yeah.
Those are
Don't
easy
remind me of that.
fixes.
I think my parents still have foil wallpaper. Yeah, I think they got rid of it finally.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you can stipulate that in your contract with your agent, because a lot of people don't. I've heard people say, you know what, I don't want a developer to buy it. I don't want to do that to my neighbors. Well, you have that right if you want to
Okay.
sell. You-
Now, actually, tell me how common this is, because yes, it happens on HGTV, but that's television. It's not real.
This is real.
Well, that's true. We are. Well, we're, yeah, okay. I stand corrected. Friends of mine just bought a house. They actually made, you've heard of writing letters explaining why you want to buy their house and why you want to live in Burlington. One, how common is letter writing? And two, they were actually told to do a video.
I
And how
haven't.
common is a video?
Well, I think video is a great idea. A lot of my clients really like the idea of letters.
Okay.
Especially for that sentimental owner who has raised their families and their grandkids in that house, and you have now somebody else who's similar. Military families are great with that, especially if somebody else is, if their seller's a military family, they take care of their own. I think it's a great idea. I think it's very common. Videos, I haven't done too many videos, I have to say.
I mean, when I bought my
you know,
house, it's like nobody asked me for a letter.
No, but the demand wasn't as high maybe when you
I
bought
was
your
going
house
to say
as
most
well.
of those programs aren't filmed here in the Boston area.
Well, no, that's true.
No.
In fact, you know what? I was telling Brenda earlier tonight. I think maybe I told you with the kitchen table there, but some data has come out recently that Massachusetts is the third highest state to own or rent, only
Wow.
behind California and Hawaii. And they
Really?
are saying that
Okay.
in order to live in Massachusetts, someone has to earn a minimum of $33 an hour. So it's, that's...
Heck, I'm
it's a
not
pretty-
earning that.
So
Wow.
it's a unique area. It's a unique part of the country. Certainly, you can go to
And
other
that's like
other
an
parts
average
of the
across
country.
all of Massachusetts, too.
Right.
Because I'm thinking living in Pittsfield cannot possibly be
Right.
expensive as living in Newton.
Right. Exactly. So
Or
that's on average.
Lexington.
So, $33 an hour might not cut it in Lexington or even Burlington, for example, but might get you something in the middle of the road. And I'm not picking on these communities. I'm just simply a matter of
Understood.
economics.
So let's do a little bit of recapping because we only have maybe about 5 or 6 minutes left. This property coming up at the reserve, if somebody wants to find out more information, could they talk to any realtor? Should they go to the Board of Selectmen, the
Well, they should go to the town hall and get an application.
town hall and get an application?
And if they need evaluation of their home, I'd be happy to meet with anyone and discuss their options, and offer my services. My partner and I would be happy to reach out to anyone who desires.
And there are several units. There's like the 1 bedrooms, the 2 bedrooms, and actually
There are.
there's several different 1 bedroom options. And I
Yeah,
think
there's different layouts. Yeah.
there's different layouts. And are they different rents per month?
What's the bedroom count?
It
It's
is the
the
bedroom
bedroom and
count,
it's square footage.
Right.
Square
Okay.
footage as a factor, but mostly it comes down to how many bedrooms you're looking for, 1, 2, or 3.
Okay.
Okay, now those, again, Selectmen's office or the town library has applications for the affordable unit. If you're a market rate person, and there's people out there, they want to sell the house, they want to stay in Burlington, there's not a lot of options for them. Renting may be an option for some folks. Like I said, it's not for everybody,
Okay.
and I'm not trying to steer everybody to any of these, and I'm not taking a reserve at Burlington.
Okay.
In particular, I'm talking about all of them
Well, we're talking
across
about reserve
town.
right now because it's
Because they happen to be
about to
coming
become
available.
available.
That's
Right.
right. Yeah. So I'm not a spokesperson
okay.
for the reserve or any of these other
Point taken.
developments.
I probably should have clarified that a little earlier. Now, not to put you on the spot,
Sure.
but as we're talking, it's making me think about seeing commercials on TV about like a reverse mortgage. So for people who are downsizing, who are on the fixed income, reverse mortgage your house. Now, what would be the advantages of doing that versus selling your house flat out and renting?
How long are you going to live?
Who knows? I could be hit by a bus tomorrow. I could live to be 110.
You live to 110, your reverse mortgage, they're going to kick you out of your house probably. See, I
don't know how the whole reverse mortgage thing blows my mind.
There's
so.
a term, that there's a specific term for the mortgage, and different lenders have different, when I say
There is
length of term,
criteria.
but
Yeah,
there
you have
is
to
criteria.
qualify for those. They don't
Okay.
just automatically
Right, you have to
grant
have a
them.
Oh, okay.
decent amount of equity, but you would have to talk to a lender, and again, you'd really want to weigh out your options. Why would you go for a reverse mortgage when you can take that equity, and then, and again, it really depends on what your income is. So everyone has it, their own unique situation, but again, we'd be happy to meet with whoever, to discuss their options, because
So talking with a real estate agent could help you weigh
Yes.
your options, whether you should move, stay put, go renting.
right, what you can expect, you're always in the driver's seat, and it's up to you to decide really where you want to be in,
Okay.
and I'm happy to help.
Wow. All right. Oh, what we have another. I'm looking at my list.
Okay.
The affordable housing program. What are there any additional services like financial management or financial planning, or is that something?
There are. There's a lot of lenders out there that will offer first-time home buyers assistance. They'll educate you to, what you need to expect.
Okay.
There are also private agencies that will counsel you. I
Okay.
can't think of the name of them just off the top of my head, but they will help people navigate that first-time home buying,
Okay.
Yep.
the challenges of buying a home, and there are low interest rates available to certain first-time buyers.
Their
as well,
interest rates
so-
are great. Are great right now
Are
as
they?
as a whole.
Okay.
There-
I've already bought my house 4 times. I'm really not interested in buying it again.
There are also several programs for military, active and retired military. So there's different programs out there.
Okay.
Again, you have to speak to somebody
So they're not necessarily linked to this particular
No.
affordable housing problem. It's
No, that could be
totally
any home.
separate program.
No, you know what? We're a pretty good place here in Massachusetts. Really, we are. Most states, and I think Massachusetts is only one of 4 or 5 that offer any type of housing assistance other than what's available through HUD, the Federal Section 8 program.
Okay.
Very, very fortunate here. Massachusetts is very progressive in that area, have been for a long time.
Okay.
So there are resources available out there if you know where to look.
I know where to look. I call you.
There you go.
So you mentioned Section 8 a couple of times.
Yes,
Is that the federal program and 40B a state program?
that's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Section 8 is managed by HUD, federal program. They subsidize the construction. They're mostly, you see them, the larger inner city
Okay.
brick and mortar type buildings here.
Okay.
40B is an initiative here in Massachusetts.
Is there a 40A?
Probably is. If there's a 40B, there must be a 40A.
I
and
don't know, I'm just
that's
like,
probably relative to zoning
okay.
article. I couldn't tell you exactly what.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
cool. We are just about out of time.
Are we? Okay.
So,
Oh.
thank you guys very much.
Thank
Sure.
you.
I now want to go home and reevaluate my mortgage or call Dad and say, hey, Dad, check this out. But thank you very much for coming. I appreciate your taking the time. And I also want to thank everyone at home for tuning in this evening. I hope you found our conversation as informative as I have. And please feel free to check out affordable housing programs or just the whole housing market in Burlington and become a little more educated, because there's, as Mike said, there's a lot out there. So check it out. Thank you very much and have a great week, and I'll see you around town. Good night.